Hey guys, this is Brad from Buildup Farm. Welcome to the channel. Today we're going to take the barn pad that we cleared off after the barn came down, and I highlighted that in other videos. And we're down to the point now where I got most of the debris off the dirt pad, and we're just going to level it off, because our next step is I'm going to have my crew come in that I hired, that they're going to start setting posts so that we can start rebuilding this barn. But first I have to grade it. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to grade it, and you're going to see how that works. I have two implements that I'm going to show you that I utilize. There's other implements on the market that you can use, and we'll discuss that as well. So stay tuned and let's get to it. So just to show you what we're working with, this barn was 62 wide, 140 foot long. So it's a relatively decent sized pad, and there's a lot of dirt that has been brought up here to get it higher than the surrounding ground. So when we do build it, then I'm not going to worry about water kind of running into the barn. So that part is already done, and that's one of the best parts. The downfall right now is I'm dealing with compaction and debris, because this barn went down this winter, and it's been ran on many times with a skid steer and excavator, so a lot of debris got pushed down. Also, the ground, which was level, is very unlevel because of kind of moving around and turning and making holes. So we have to fill holes. We have high spots, low spots. We just had a rain yesterday, and it might rain again today. And the goal right now, today, right this second, is to Scarifier this pad so I can get it to dry quicker. Because once it's dry, then we're able to sit there and level things off. And I want to show you the tools that we are going to use. And I think that it might be of interest to some of you because it's something you may have never seen before. And if you've seen them, maybe this is something you may be interested in as well, because they're good tools and they work really efficiently for me, and I kind of like to promote them. So let's get to it. So there's two tools that I want to highlight, and the first one that we're going to use is this SR3 Command Series by ABI Attachments. And I like to use this tool because, one, it goes on my skid steer, and the reason why I want to use the skid steer is because there may be nails and other debris in there that I really don't want to run over with my tractor tires. Secondly, this one here is a really nice, it can do real fine grading and it can do rough grading. I prefer to use this on this area right now because of, more importantly, that the Scarifier teeth that comes with this unit are basically hydraulic, and I can drop them and lift them as I need to. And also I like to use this because I use it as a dozer, and it's easier for me to push dirt. Now, I'm not saying there's another version of the TR3 we're going to use, and you can use it the same way, but I think having a skid steer unit, it makes it a little bit easier to do some of the tasks that I like to do. But I could do it both with just the tractor version. Now, this SR3 is unique in the sense that, one, it does have hydraulic Scarifiers, and what the Scarifiers are these teeth that shoot into the ground up to 6 inches or so, and it's able to rip up the dirt and basically allows it to dry and for us to kind of break up the crust. And that's what we're going to use this for. Also, it has a self-leveling blade, meaning it pulls dirt and levels as it goes. It's not something I have to kind of control, but I have the opportunity, if I want to lock that down, I can actually lock this self-leveling blade, which is here, to a pin, and I can actually use it like a box scraper where I'm actually just dragging a quantity of dirt. But I'll show you kind of some of the tricks that I use with it, because I like to pull dirt and push dirt with this unit. This unit has two combs, one in the middle on the self-leveling blade and one up in front. And what they actually do is it helps you catch debris, it helps you break down clods and make them into smaller pieces, and really does a nice job leveling. And since this is not has no working parts to it, it's kind of nice because you can do multiple things all at once. And what's also nice about this type of unit specifically is that because it has a self-leveling blade, you really don't have to think too much about leveling areas out. It does it itself, and that's what's nice about it. It's kind of like a no-brainer type of tool, but it could be used for many different things. And I've made videos on this on gravel driveways. It's a great tool for that. It's great for leveling any kind of fields out. I've had hay fields that had rough spots in it. I've taken out there, and I'm able to rip up the ground and level it all one time with one piece of equipment. I didn't have to bring out multiple different pieces. So there's a lot of advantages to having this unit. The only downfall to it, it is on a skid steer and you have to back up and you can't really go forward to rip things up like you can with a power rake. Now it's similar to a power rake in the sense that what we're doing today is we're actually going to break up material. And a power rake could also be used for this as well. But what I like about this is it's a lot cheaper than a power rake, and again, it's more versatile in different aspects. So we're going to show you this right now first. And the whole goal here is to level and the Scarifier to ground so it could dry. It's a really hot, humid day. It's 95 degrees. We just had a big rainstorm yesterday, and they're expecting rain in the next couple of days. And I plan on leveling this out on several different occasions. But right now, I want to get a good time to level this out before it starts to rain again, so water will shed off of it, and at least I have something to work with. I'm also trying to uncover more debris that's actually out there that's hidden, and this tool will allow me to rip it up and hopefully bring it up to the surface where I can kind of pick it up as I need to. So, but let me show you how this works in action, show you why I like it. And if I just had one tool, you know, this one is a good tool, and the TR3 is also a good tool on the tractor. This one for the skid steer is the only version that they make for a skid steer, and it's a pretty stout unit, and it does a really good job. I love to use it a lot of times in land clearing as well, and I'll show you that on another video. But for what we're doing today, this is a good tool to get this thing leveled off and to really start to break up the crust. All right, so we're going to start working on leveling this out. This is actually the front end of my barn site, and we have some high spots and low spots. And if you can see this, by working the unit, the Scarifier teeth can be driven down or up depending on what I want to do. So right now we're just going to keep it partially down, and I'm just going to get into a spot that's high and start back dragging. And everything you do with this tool is back dragging. Scarifier teeth really make it nice to really work the material up. And at the same time is this unit is leveling also as I rip. So it's not like a box scraper where you grab it and the first alternative, hey, I'm filling up with material, I need to move it. But just like a box scraper, you still need to kind of control the material where you're dropping it. Right now, I'm not really too worried about that. I'm just trying to loosen the material up and kind of shift it around. Filling in holes and trying to level it out a little bit so it's easier to work with to fill in our holes. So the hydraulic Scarifiers are activated by the machine, and you know, once we're set up, we can drop these all the way down to the ground and up. Right now, what my plan is just to level this down. Let me show you what it's like first without the Scarifiers, just to back up on rough ground. So as you can see, you're actually leveling and smoothing without even doing anything, and you just have to learn to set your that's an example of one without even using the Scarifiers. And by using the Scarifiers and dropping them down deep, what we're going to do is we're going to break up the crust. Now my goal here is just to kind of bring up to the surface any debris. Also, I want to break it up so that it's easier for me to move it around and level up this pad. And you could use a lot of different tools like a box scraper, and if I didn't have this tool, that's probably what I would use. But you can use probably a land plane, you can use a power rake, you can use anything that's out there. Actually, for what I want to do right now, you could literally just take a disc and run it through this area, and just to break up and open up the ground surface, break up the crust to get air in here to dry out. So, but this tool kills two birds with one stone by leveling and breaking it open, and that's kind of why we like it. So this is what it looks like with the Scarifiers getting into the ground. So we're just going to keep Scarifiering back and forth to loosen this up, so then we have to move dirt around. And then if there's any wet spots, we're going to push this stuff into the wet area. So I initially had done this once before already, after I pulled the post, but I think it's a lot better to do it again. Find out, like I just hit a piece of concrete that needs to get removed. The other thing I had when I built this barn is I had a slope, which this is definitely a lot higher than the surrounding area, but the slope was pretty tall. Meaning it was really tough to get to. I wanted to kind of level it out a bit, so now that the barn fell, it's not a bad way to go. I'm uncovering all kinds of stick and debris, which is fine. And like I say, I had lots of pallets in here that got kind of crushed. We had a hard time getting them out of the ground when they're frozen to them. So I expect to find a lot of debris. So I've just uncovered and drilled through a wet spot. And I have a few of them in here. And I'm hoping that by breaking it up, it'll loosen it up a bit. Now I can put the skid steer and float, but right now, because I'm really not worried about that, I'm just more worried about breaking up debris. To be honest with you, things are looking pretty dry today, so that's a good thing. So for some people, this is considered pretty big. It's probably big as some people's yards. So, this is really an easy-going tool that really doesn't take much. You can use this tractor the same way. All you're going to have to do is back up a lot and go forward. And there's nothing wrong with that. Just, what's nice is you have a little bit more power. You have a little bit more control with the skid steer in doing this type of work. But when it comes down to fine leveling, to be honest with you, I prefer the tractor in an area this big because I can start and keep moving, and I'll show you the difference. See, what's nice with this TR3, and I'll show you here in a minute too, I'm pulling a lot of debris that it's getting caught by that middle comb, and it's pulling out toward the end of our run. And I don't mind Scarifying because I'm not going any deeper than where I'm at. And the more I Scarifire it, the more loose my soil is. Whereas if you use a power rake, it'll start digging down into the ground. You know, like if this was a horse arena, you know, if you wanted to get footing, you know, the more you keep Scarifiering, the deeper you'll get, and that's kind of the same concept here. So this mud bit that I had, the more I keep hitting it, the more it brings it up to the surface, the better off I am. And it'll dry quick. And that's the whole point of this. So that didn't take all that long, but let me kind of walk you through here to show you. And like I said, this is rough. The more you go over this and you leave it, the better off you'll be versus driving over the tracks like I just did. But the bottom line is this does a really fine job. It's loosened this up, and we got a lot done already very quickly. So you can, as you can see, we really Scarified this. It's still wet, but it's, you know, it's at a good moisture content on this ground. So once this dries a little bit today, it'll be a lot easier to move. And what's nice is we'll go down here. I'll show you. I grabbed a lot of debris in from the dirt, and what I'll use is probably a skeleton bucket, so I can kind of scoop that up and kind of shake it and get us more debris out of the dirt. Because realistically, the more debris I can break off of this, the better. And you know, that's kind of what I like about this. Also, this is a repetitive tool. So as you keep going back and forth, the more you do it, the more you keep breaking things up. So right over here is a low spot, and it's a wet spot. And I'm just kind of getting air to it. We filled it in with some dirt, let it soak it up. And we'll wind up working with this and pushing more dirt in here when we level it. And so there's a lot of high spots in the back here. I know I'm going to pull it in here, and we'll just get this nice and level. But right now, I'm just trying to suck up the moisture, get rid of it, and let it dry out. And then we'll just keep working with this. But we'll get this thing filled, because I really don't want holes in this pad, because that's where I'm retaining water. I'd rather just water shed off. So let me show you the debris that we wound up pulling out of here. That'll make it easier for cleanup as well. So here and here, I have a bunch of sticks, boards, and debris that we wound up pulling off of the ground back here. And I'll just take, like I say, a skeleton bucket, pick it up, sift it, see what we have in here and get rid of it. And that's really some of the easiest way to clean it up. Let the tool do the work, pull it out for you, because like I said, there's a lot of hidden debris in here and I want to get it out. And the more I can get out, the better off I'll be. And I really don't want to pick through it. And then once this barn's actually built, we'll continue grading it inside, and then basically put another bunch of sand in here for the riding arena. But again, the most of the debris I can get out of here, now's the time to do it. Now, if you're working like in a field and you had debris or roots, this is a great tool for roots, because it doesn't necessarily, it chops them, it pulls them up, rips them up, and it makes it a lot easier. You know, you can't really plant in gardens. That's why I really like this tool when I do land clearing, because when I pull out the stumps, this does not a lot of the fine work of really removing all that debris that's in the ground. Another factor I want to talk about too. And you'll notice when I'm going backward, in between this area and here, as I'm going backward, as it builds up, the idea is to watch the material build up and fall back through. And if you keep building it up too hard, you're either too deep, or your angle's too deep, or the ground's too wet, and you're losing, and you want the material to fall backward. So that keeps you in a good flow, where you're dragging and leveling at the same time. So you have to keep your eye, see how it's catching there? You got to keep your eye open. You can clean it out. A lot of times sod and other debris you'll catch. Today's a perfect day to do this because it's not too dusty. You have enough moisture in the ground, there's really no dust at all. As we're working a farm field, today's a great day to disc and work the fields. So, but this is drying out. I can notice what I did earlier. It's starting to dry, and that's good. So what I want to show you, here's your Scarifiers, here's your self-leveling blade. This is where the buildup of material is coming in. And what I want to do is watch this material fall back as I pull. I don't want it to build up and fall forward and fall through here. I want it to actually fall underneath the comb. So you got to kind of keep your tilt and your angle at a right spot. And that's saddle time. And the more saddle time you have on this unit, the better off you'll be. But this is where it really shines, is once you learn how to finesse it and do it at the right conditions, it'll make a heck of a difference and it'll really save you a lot of time. The amount of debris that I'm pulling out of here, because it's getting caught in this comb and getting pulled with it, when I actually lift it up, it's all on the end here, and we're going to be cleaning that up at the end, and I'll show you how much material we actually did save. There's some bigger pieces I'm going to have to remove here as well that I'll have to pick out. So here's a shot of some of the debris. We got string, we got pipes, we got boards. I wound up pulling up different parts of the barn that fell apart. Pieces of steel, you know, tarp, you know, all kinds of goodies. And so the whole point is clean this up so we run clean. Now if you look over here, this is a shot of what we've done so far, and it really is coming out real well. We're filling our holes, you know, and where I'm at right now is I got to finish this little section over here left, and then we'll have to do behind me just to finish it off. But You know, I'm pretty happy with it so far. Actually, I'm probably going to clean this up before I go backward the other direction. And this whole spot here is just a big hole that I'm going to fill in, and we'll do that right now so you guys can see. But it's wet, and it'll dry out as we start filling it in. If you had a box scraper right now, I don't think you'd be doing 1/2 of where we're at. And I own a box scraper, and I'll tell you, I wouldn't even want to try this. Actually, when I built this barn, I had a box scraper, and that's how we made the pad. And it took forever, and it took a lot of repetition. But what I'm doing right now, there's no way a box scraper would do this thing efficiently. Filling in this hole right now. I'm not really trying hard at it. We're just kind of dragging material into the hole. So we have a starting point. Still have a lot of material that's coming with it as far as debris. This whole pad is looking so good in so quick a time. Very happy with it. Pulling electrical wires and string. It's crazy. Some implements out there that are very limited in what they can do, and the SR3 and the TR3 are very handy tools. So if you're going to spend the money on a tool, in my opinion, you got to make sure it works good. like when I do gravel driveway, made a few videos on that, guys will say, well, the power rake is better. It may be, and it may look pretty, just like a big rototiller tilling up your stone, but there's times you may not want to till up your stone. Maybe you just want to level it out, you know, and so those are issues that you got to contend with. You know, here I'm looking at leveling, pushing, you know, doing all kinds of stuff to dirt I don't necessarily have to do if I didn't, you know, have it set this way. So, you know, like I own a rototiller, and I wouldn't even attempt to put a rototiller on a tractor and go through this. It would be kind of silly. Have I done it when this was an arena? Absolutely. Would I do it now? No. Just because of all the debris that's in here, and you have string and wire and everything else caught up. You know, this is a tool that you can go in to an arena and you can level it. That's what these are designed for, is finish work. These are designed for putting in lawns without having the power rake ability. The difference between a power rake and this, in all honesty, is that the power rake runs off the hydraulics, off this machine, and basically just turns like a tiller. This tool does not have actually moving parts. The only moving parts is me. So the Scarifier teeth and the comb will basically eventually break down the material to where it's fine dirt. And that's the difference. Or if you're bringing dirt in and you're just leveling it off, this is a great tool. So you can use it this way just like people use power rakes. But like I say, the bottom line is this is half the cost of a power rake. If a power rake's brand new, this SR3 is about $6,000. A power rake is at least $12,000 to $14,000. So you're paying a lot of money for something you may not use as much. This tool, I'm telling you, you'll use it a lot. If you can find one that's used, if you bought one of these that were used, the odds are that it's probably going to be 100% functional. And the only thing you may have to change is the tips on this. If you have a power rake, you don't know if you have worn out bearings or different moving parts that are worn. Here, the only parts that really wear are the comb and the teeth, and they're all replaceable, and they're not going to be nearly as, it's going to take a long time for them to be worn down. So you have to kind of decide what tool works best for you. And that's kind of the rationale why I went with this, is because one, I had the TR3 and they did a fabulous job on dirt in arenas. This I bought specifically for a different way of doing more refinement work in tight spaces. But like I said, the downfall is that you have to go backward. But in all honesty, once we have this roughed up, you're going to see when I bring the tractor in and I start grading this, it'll be a lot more efficient than this because it's constantly moving and it works a bigger area. And this I consider as a relatively good sized area where a tractor shines. This thing, if you're going to use it, would be for more of a smaller yard of refinement where you're just backing up and getting out of there. But you know, right now for what we're doing, and because we're doing heavy work and like I said, trying to remove debris, this SR3 is a great tool. Now you can get the, and we'll talk about the TR3 next, but the SR3 here for the skid steer, like I say, is very efficient in a lot of different ways. But again, the negative is you're always backing up. Of more refinement work, working an edge. Now, if you had a tractor, you'd have to back up and try to navigate it. It'd be a lot harder for you to do. Whereas with the skid steer, it's faster for me to get in, drop it, and pull it out. I cut a swale in here because I had so much water in this little pit. And the reason why is because we were turning around a lot in here. It's a very high in this spot here. We had water when the barn came down from snow coming into the barn. Kind of grading the outside here because it was really rough. Trying to slope it out better. Now filling in that hole. There was a big wet hole, and now it's really filled in nice. And we're just going to keep grading over it. Low spot here where I made that hole. I'm going to have to fill that in. There you have that. I love the smell of fresh dirt. One thing I like about working with dirt. Good. Do a couple more quick grades down here, and then pretty much 3/4 of this is finished, if not more, for our rough grade. What's nice about this unit, they promote it as the fact of, you know, it's an alternative to a power rake. Power rake may be a little quicker, but you do basically the same thing. Just the downfall of this is a repetitional tool. you'll say, well, that looks finished to me. And it is pretty finished. I could probably leave it as is, but I'm pretty happy the way it's coming out, to be honest with you. But I think what I'm going to wind up doing again is still take that SR3 or TR3, show you guys how it looks like with the tractor. So when you're working with debris like this, you definitely want to get a skeleton bucket. They're really nice. And what's nice about them is that you can sift, like I say, a lot of the dirt from the debris. They're great for concrete. They're great for wood. You know, I use them a lot of times for like scraping off hay off pastures. So they work out good. And I like the fact that this one has teeth in the front. You got something to grade and pull back. But anyway, we're going to use this. We're going to sift through it, and you'll see it sifting real quick. And whatever debris we have, we'll throw it in the bucket, and eventually I'll have to separate out the concrete from the wood, and we'll just burn the wood product and the other debris. There's a lot of string in here and other things, and you'll see how handy this is. It's a lot better than doing it by hand. The other option is just pick the whole damn thing up and just get rid of it and throw it in a pile somewhere, throw it in a dumpster. But I like to pick through it, and this is what I do. So with that said, let's get to it. So the rock pocket did its job. This is all the debris we got. And what little I have left, we'll just pick through it with a rake or something if we need to. There's some steel that I got in here. I'm going to throw in the pile. But overall, I'll just throw this in the dumpster as far as I'm concerned and get rid of it. So this is good debris out of here. And skeleton bucket made it a little easier to pick this up very quickly. So that's what I use it for. And this is just a quick example. And like I said, if you're making a pad, and you're not doing land, you didn't have destruction like I did, you probably wouldn't even need this unless you had a big rock pile in your dirt. And that's where that would shine, is if you had a lot of debris with rocks. But overall, that's just another handy tool to have just in case you needed it. And that's what I used it for, and got rid of all this debris. So not so bad, all worked out good. So next thing we're going to do is going to put the TR3 on tractor, and I'll kind of show you how that's set up, and I'll show you how that works, because that's also going to be flipping this around, and we're going to find debris here, and we're going to pick that out as well. So it's a constant maintenance right now, just getting rid of debris that's in here. But as we do this, we're leveling it out and making sure that it's a good clean pad. Pretty much for most of my implements, I always use a hydraulic top link. I think they're the most essential thing for control, and it makes your life a lot easier. So all you got to do on a hydraulic top link is get it on the tractor first, and you need to have at least one set of remotes. And if you have your set of remotes, it's all very simple. So all you need to do is plug these things in, and you'll have control of your SR3 or TR3 in the sense that you can control your angles. So there you go. So this is actually a category 1 hydraulic top link, and it fits best on this SR or the TR3. Now the reason why you want to use a hydraulic top link is because you can adjust your angle of the machine on the fly, and it's very essential to do that to get the proper angle, so when you do start grading that you've got pretty much precision control of your dirt. If your angle's too far forward or too far back, if you had to go out and manually do it, you're going to be on and off the tractor a lot of times just trying to get it just right. When you're sitting in front of the cab, all you got to do is move this remote and boom, you're set. So it's a lot easier to manage that way. It works best for me, and I highly endorse, if you're going to use any kind of 3-point implement, I always love to use a hydraulic top link. And especially for this unit, because you have to do a lot of adjustment here and there sometimes, and it's nice to have it. So that's just my take on this. So this is called a TR3, and it's the tractor version of like the SR3. It comes, this one doesn't have remotes as far as the Scarifier teeth. They do make a series called the Command Series, where you actually have Scarifier teeth that you can use with hydraulics for a tractor. I'm going to say this unit's probably at least $6,000, similar to the SR3. And I think if I would buy one new, that's the model that I would go for, because you know it's a lot easier when you can set these Scarifier teeth when you want them, and then you don't have to get off the tractor. Now with this model, TR3, I guess you call these more the manual model. What's nice about these is the fact is generally I use them for dirt work, so I don't really set these and change them that often, and when I do, it really only takes less than 5 minutes to screw around with the actual teeth themselves, the Scarifiers. The unit is pretty basic, and this bar, this here, right in front where this is concave, that's actually a straight bar, and it's a floating bar that is our leveler, and there's no comb to it like you have on the SR3. We can catch debris. It's just a straight blade, and that's what grades. Now I can actually put a pin in the back here and lock this, because this floats and you can see it moving around. It's very heavy, and it goes with the ground. And what's nice about this, like I say, it's different than a box scraper, that you don't have to adjust anything. It just kind of floats across the ground as it needs to. Then you have the Scarifier teeth, the row behind the blade. Then you have the rear comb. So our adjustment with the hydraulic top link is just level this. So, and I watch the comb pressure on the back of the ground, and that's kind of what levels out everything and smooths it out the lumps. And the key here is watching the buildup that takes place between the Scarifier teeth and the comb and the blade. What happens is if this starts to build up with too much material, you're actually driving it too deep forward. That's where you need to adjust it. So the plan here is just to have a little bit of material still building up back here, but enough of it to fall through the comb. And that's really the key here. And that's what's nice about that, having a hydraulic top link, is setting the adjustment. Now these tires here can be moved forward and backward or offset them as you need to. But for dirt work right now, well, I'm not really too worried about that. I just want to have a nice level grade. And that's kind of where we're set. So they're set at the middle, and I'm not going to adjust them at all. A lot of times you may have to adjust them, say if your Scarifier teeth were getting a little smaller. If you're trying to angle the dirt a certain direction, like doing a driveway and trying to push everything in toward the crown, then you're going to adjust these tires. But for what we're doing today, we're not going to mess with that at all. So what I really want to show you is how easy this thing is to be used to grade arenas. Dirt work, this is where it really shines, especially a bigger area. Because it's all forward motion. So once we start, we're going to continue on with this, and I'm going to kind of show you how it works, but it really works out pretty nice. Let me show you the back end here real quick so you see what I'm talking about. So when you're up here on the angle, this is actually the comb part here, so the dirt's going to kind of fall right through this. And this is where the hydraulic, where you actually have the straight bar. This is the floating, and it's pretty heavy, the floating bar. And you can put pins along in here if you wanted to lock that down. I don't do it, I just let it float, especially for what we're doing. And then here in the front, here's the Scarifier teeth. And you can see the teeth right along here. And each one, all the heads on the Scarifier teeth can be removed, and you can put new points on if necessary. I don't do it till they're really worn down, but the company ABI Attachment sells the teeth, the tips, and as well as the shanks if you need them. So everything on this machine you can get replaced and purchased if needed. So this unit here I bought used, and I actually have two TR3s, and I have one that's considered an older version, and it has double rows of Scarifier teeth, and I like that really well for breaking up concrete or gravel on the driveway, because it really does a nice job really digging in and breaking up the hard surface, and it works real good on that. This one here is just a traditional TR3, and it works really good as well. And I bought, for both of them I paid like $1,500 used. And if you gave me a choice of buying a box scraper or buying one of these used, I would definitely be looking for one of these, because you can do more with this tool than you can with a box scraper. And I know a lot of people love their box scrapers, and I'm not taking anything away, but once you try something different, you kind of find out that the box scraper has its limitations. And I started off with a box scraper, but once I got to this, I kind of replaced it, and I haven't used my box scraper since. So that's really what it comes down to. You need the right tool to do the right job. And this unit here is really well worth it, and you can find these units used. The SR3, the one on the skid steer, you're pretty hard pressed to find that used, because they're hard to find on the market. And to find the one with the hydraulics, the command series for the TR3, pretty hard to find too. But if you're interested, check out ABI Attachments. They'll show you and talk about different units that they actually have. But I like this model for a tractor version. It's heavy duty, and they may say that this is rated for a smaller tractor. I would not have anything but this is a 72 inch. I wouldn't have anything less than a 55 horse power, even though they may rate it for lower. And the reason why I tell you that is because once you get a load in here or you hit a hard spot, you definitely need enough horsepower to get you out and go forward. If in perfect conditions, sure, a 35 horse probably would work, but you know, I never have perfect conditions, so I'd rather have enough horse. Today we're just using my 70 horsepower Kubota 7060, and we'll use that. And if I need to go into four-wheel drive, that's what I'll do. But overall, it runs really well, and you'll really be impressed, I think, when you watch this thing work. Because really, you don't need to be an expert grader. All you have to do is get on the tractor, set that thing, and let the machine do the work for you. And that's why I love it. So it takes the guesswork out of it, and as long as you have enough material in the area that's considered a hole, I think you'll be good to go. If you have a low spot, fill it in with dirt, and then use this tool and just keep running around it, and it will fill it in and grade everything out perfectly. It really makes a nice arena, especially an outdoor arena. I would highly suggest it if you have horses, or if you're doing any kind of dirt work, you know, look into one of these. They're cheap, and they do a really good job for you. Even the new ones, you know, like maybe $4,000, but I suggest if you're going to do this, you'd have to have, I would definitely go with the command series because of the hydraulic Scarifiers. Makes a huge difference and makes your life a little bit easier. Just my opinion. Now we're in a tractor cab. This is what I was trying to explain to you. That using the remotes, I can, not only can I lift obviously the unit, but I can control the angle on the top link. And that's what we're going to do. So we're going to set it down the ground. We're going to try to find a sweet spot where this thing works best. So we're going to start driving forward, and we'll take a quick look and see how it goes. So I got to put it down a little farther. So I'm going to put it down. See where the teeth are hitting? So this is where we're at. So right now we're going to set our speed. And what I'm going to wind up doing is making circles. We're just going to kind of cruise around here and see how this thing levels everything out. But I like to make circles just because once you start making some circles, you're leveling the front and the back, and everything is kind of going together. A lot of guys will, and I used to have done, and I do make straight passes, but because we're always moving material up and back in, I like to make the circle end of it. There's still a lot of debris that we still have to get, but I find that if this was actually my horse arena, I'm kind of making circles on the move. So we have some straight and then we have some angles. My circles are going to kind of move as I move. Right now I'm just trying to get the outside of this arena building pad, and I'm trying to start always kind of moving over in a different path. And the more you go over it, the more you're going to loosen up the soil. You're actually kind of compacting it down a little bit too, but it's just a very repetitive thing, but it's always forward motion. So we're grabbing material, we're leveling material, we're breaking down the clumps, and we're pulling it in the small spots and the high spots. So I'm kind of making, like, I guess you want to say, a walking circle, kind of like egg-shaped. I go in and then I go out. I'm just kind of working my way all the way up and down right now. Just trying to flush things down a bit. So with a box scraper, you're going to be dragging in the spots, or unless you're pulling all the soft material out. I'm really trying not to lose any of my material, and I don't have to kind of pull it and drop it. All I'm trying to do is keep it up on the pad and fill in my low areas. So that's what's nice about this tool with that floating grading bar, is it kind of fills in our low spots. So I'm kind of like right now going over a spot that was a wet spot, and it's going to flatten everything out. Filling as I go. Most people, when you sit there and you start grading, you're going to go back and forth, and then you can go in a different direction. But circles, you're kind of doing a little of everything, and you're constantly moving. So if I was doing this as a horse arena, I would do circles in different directions. I'd be constantly on the move, and it allows you to keep moving back and forth. Now, there's times where I'll go in rows and lines, and we kind of already did that with the skid steer. You know, now I'm kind of taking it to a different angle. And what I'm noticing is there's a lot of small debris and little wood pieces that are still in this arena, and I don't know if I'm ever going to get them all out. But I'm just going to keep working them up, and hopefully they start breaking down a little bit in Mother Nature. But unfortunately, I'll have a barn built by the time this thing's done. So if this was an indoor riding arena, I would be inside my barn doing exactly the same thing I'm doing right now. Going around in circles and just kind of a working circle. I keep moving around. in a different position. And what's nice is once I had that TR3 set and then everything at the right angle that I'm looking for, I'm just going to keep driving. I'm not even worried about anything, you know, falling. Not worried about any kind of adjustment. I'm just running and driving. And that's pretty much it. Looking where I'm going. I'm letting the tool do the work for me. Like I say, I'm not going to say this grade's going to be perfect, but it's a good start, and considering, you know, the condition of what this arena was set like after everything fell down, it's definitely 100% better than what it was. The same thing holds true using this tool, that I'm still going to get debris that I'm pulling out of the ground. Let's bring it up to the surface. We're just going to have to walk and try to clean some of it up and get it off that way. Doing this method too, you're pretty much working the entire arena, and you're kind of getting at a different angle. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to reverse course after we're done with this, and we'll go the other direction. And I just keep moving around trying to level this out. So, and this pad is about probably 70 or 80 by, I want to say at least 160 right now. We just did the whole thing. It's not that big of a pad, and I want to show you what it overall looks like, because we're going to reverse our direction and then start a different way. And I'll show you something too before we get off. There's probably string and material that we caught. It's under this machine now that I'm going to remove. And that'll also be more waste. So we have some string and some debris, but nothing crazy. But I want to show you kind of the arena now after just one pass, how good it looks. And we're going to do a second pass here just so you see. But that's just one pass making circles in this arena. And it really made a heck of a difference and leveled it all out. Now, there's still debris and sticks we need to get off, and we're probably going to grab some of that, and then we're going to come back and go the other direction. But I'm very, very happy with this, and this just gives you an idea what you can do with these tools. Very quick, very easy, and anybody can do it. And that's what's nice about it. No muss, no fuss. So we went around and basically picked up a lot of wood, rocks, and other items found in the arena by hand. And this is probably a quarter bucket full. And we're going to go back out now and use the Kubota and regrade it. You know, give you a different perspective of what it looks like from the ground watching the tractor work. I want to show you real quick too. By looking at this TR3, you could see the angle on the hydraulic top link. Look how low it's actually hanging. So if you were doing an adjustment just to set this properly, see how much you would actually have your your top link out way out just to get it set properly. That's where it's really nice to have the hydraulic top link, because I can adjust it and push it down whatever depth I need to get the best angle. And without that hydraulic top link, it's just pretty much miserable trying to get this just right. And that's why I highly have to say that they're well worth having. One thing about making circles, you can spiral in, you can spiral out. So whatever basically works, but what's nice is that you're actually grabbing material from the outside and you're pulling it back into the center. Material's definitely drier now, later this afternoon, than it was earlier today. So it's a little bit dustier. One good part about grading this is I'm uncovering all kinds of other debris that I'm finding that's coming up to the surface. And it's probably better to find it now than later. The more times you do this, the finer the dirt's going to be, and so it's going to give it a lot nicer base. Like I say, I'm not really concerned about the appearance as much as just getting ready for them to rebuild. And the beauty of running this TR3 is I don't have to mess around with any of the settings. It it's set, it's running properly, it's actually working. The material is self-leveling, and it makes it very user-friendly for an operator. And it doesn't matter if you're, like you say, doing it for horse arenas or just grading your driveway. I love this tool because of the versatility of it. You know, and that's what makes it so much nicer. And it's really not that much more, especially if you find a used one. You cannot. I would look for a used one all day, every day. The only way I would buy a new one is if I was looking at one that was a Command series that basically is set up to have the remotes to basically shoot the Scarifiers down to the ground off the tractor. Because I'll tell you, manually it is a pain, but a tool like this, depending on what you're using it for, if you're just doing grading like I'm doing right here, once you're set, you don't really have to mess with it. But what's nice with the Scarifiers is the fact that you can just shoot them down from the cab and you don't have to get off. And it is a little tedious, as far as I'm concerned, to try to you know, get out and adjust them all the time. It's a big pain. Now, the way we're doing this is exactly the same thing I would do if I was in my indoor arena. I would just consistently make circles. The problem when you go up and down, especially when you're inside the barn, a lot of times is you don't want to put all your material against the wall. So I would try to do everything I can to keep all the material away from the wall, because what's going to happen is a lot of times on the walls it builds up, and you're going to have to be able to try to pull that away. Now you can spiral into a really tight little circle, or you can do the longer circles like I'm showing you what I'm doing. This one section here was pretty wet, and I keep putting material in it. So I think that gives you kind of an idea what it's like being on the tractor. And like I say, you just keep going around and around as long as you want. If you have an area that you need to build up, you can always put material in there. But try doing circles if you've never done it this way before. It really makes a difference. It's a lot easier, especially if you have an SR3 or a TR3. Because, well, the TR3. The SR3 you can't because of a ton of skid steer. But So that put a really nice finish on this pad. I'm pretty happy with what it looks like. And like I say, that's basically what I do with the TR3 to really level things out. Now my barn site, I would have to say, is ready for construction. So I'm pretty happy with it. If it rains, it's going to be nice. And like I say, if between now and time of construction, I'll just use a tractor and the TR3 to basically make sure everything's level and groomed and working and looking the way it should prior to construction. Hey guys, thanks for watching the video on the TR3 and the SR3 in action as far as grooming this pad for construction for the new building. You know, hopefully you got to see both tools in action. The tractor version works really well on the TR3, as you could see. And anything I could have done with the tractor, I could have done with the skid steer and vice versa. Both of them are really good tools to work with. I just actually like the tractor for bigger dirt areas because I can move around and really groom an area and level it out faster, easier, and a lot smoother. And because it's constant movement. And plus you can see a little bit better because it's a forward motion. But other than that, they're both good tools, and they serve a great purpose, and they're multiple purpose tools. And I wanted to show you how they work well in the dirt setting. So with that said, stay tuned for the future when this barn gets put up. I'm going to show videos on that. And thanks for watching. Hopefully this is helpful to somebody out there that if they're interested in looking at a TR3 or an SR3, this is what they can do. And they've done well for me, and I highly endorse them. So with that said, thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you guys later.